Tehran says this visit by Mr. Ghalibaf and a high-level parliamentary delegation was planned in advance. However, recent developments and recent events are bringing this more attention, more gravity, and more importance. Among those recent events, drone strikes earlier this week targeting the offices of Masroor Barzani. He is the prime minister of Iran's Kurdistan regional government. Initially, Iraqi reports claim that those drone strikes came from Iranian soil. However, almost immediately this week, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi rejected those claims and said that those drone strikes were part of a false flag operation designed to sow divisions between Iran and Iraq. Of course, Iran has long viewed the opposition groups, the armed opposition groups in the Kurdistan region, as a threat to Iran. And of course, earlier this year, U.S. President Donald Trump explicitly, openly said that the U.S. was arming those Kurdish militias. So certainly they're going to be discussing that matter. Also, Iraqi media reports saying that Iraq is planning to ask permission, if you will, make an arrangement with Iran for its crude oil to be exported through the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, the Strait of Hormuz has been shut down by Iranian forces, and almost all of Iraq's crude oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. And finally, Iraq has set September 30th as a deadline to disarm non-state militias in Iraq. Washington is pushing it to do so. Many of those groups are backed by Tehran and a critical pillar in Tehran's proxy network in its efforts to oppose American military presence in the region. So look for all those matters to be discussed today between Iranian officials and Iraqi officials. And of course, lots of headlines recently that the war is going to resume between Washington and Tehran. Look for Iran to reiterate its position that Washington is the aggressor and it's only defending its sovereignty.
Now, Reza, this is all taking place as the Islamabad memorandum, which was aimed at bringing an end to the war between the US and Iran, expired on Monday after 60 days. And US President Donald Trump says there are no talks underway. So where do we stand right now?
Mr. Trump says there's no talks on the way, but remember, this week his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, says there are communications happening. So who knows what the truth is coming out of Washington. From Tehran's viewpoint, Washington, the Trump administration has very little credibility left. What we can tell you is the tone is somewhat changing in Tehran. They're taking a tougher stance. Of course, this month, there was a shakeup within the Supreme National Security Council here in Iran, with individuals coming in that have historically taken a tougher stance against Washington. These are individuals who don't necessarily want to negotiate with Washington, believe that Washington will never make any concessions with Iran, and they believe pursuing deterrence in an aggressive position to defend Tehran's sovereignty is the way to go. And they believe that the Strait of Hormuz must be kept closed until Washington abides by those promises in the MOU that is now expired.